Yo, I'm Marty, and welcome to Marty Code. So this is a new channel dedicated to talking about everything tech. So I'm Marty. I also have a channel named Marty Do VR where I do VR content. But today we're talking about software engineering and all things tech. So I've been in tech for 4 years. I graduated in 2020 and also got a job in 2020, right when COVID started. So I got lucky and extremely unlucky at the same time. I don't know how I feel about it even to this day. But today we're going to talk about, is tech a good career choice for you in 2024. So there has been a lot of layoffs in the past like 2 or 3 years, especially last year with 1,600 people being let off per day. Wow. That's a lot of people, with 15% of tech workers in totality being let go in 2022. So it's been a rough time for the tech people. That encompasses all industries. So we're talking about game dev, software engineering, all the other routes you can take to get into tech. And so the main question that I want to get to with all the fluff and the hoopla is that, is tech still worth it in 2024? And personally, I think yes. I do think that it's still a really good career choice, but the main thing is how you go about getting into it. It changes a lot. The days where you can just get, a degree, learn a little bit of HTML and get a 100K job is gone. That's not happening no more. Those are out. Those are cooked. If you're thinking you can do that, you are surely mistaken, or if you do it, you got lucky. So I'm just being honest. So yeah, no more easy rise up to 150K working at a FAANG company. It's not going. It's not going like that. So what I recommend to anybody getting into tech, whether you be in college or a person trying to transition into tech from a different career, I say be smart about how you do it. For my college students, I highly recommend, with the utmost urgency, you need to have a plan by the time you graduate on how you're going to graduate and get that big boy job. That's what I call it. My first piece of advice for my college student is to get as many internships as you can. So obviously I graduated right when COVID started. So pre-COVID, my main goal when I was in college was to get as many internships as I can. So every summer of college, I had an internship. I worked at a biotech institute. I worked at NASA for one summer, my internship, and basically got as much experience as I can, just so when I graduate, my resume looked crazy. And so that helped me a lot. And it still took me 8 months pre-COVID throughout my whole senior year to actually get my job. And the only reason I actually got it is because of networking, which I'm gonna get into. All right, my second piece of advice, make sure you start your own projects. You need to show that you can code outside of your interview, or even just in general outside of school. Show to make yourself a good candidate. A lot of people are graduating with really empty resumes, and how are you going to compete with other people? Like, there's a lot of people graduating with comp sci degrees every year. Trust me. You need to do something to set yourself apart from all those people applying to the same jobs as you. They have the same job sites as you. They got Indeed, they got LinkedIn, they got Handshake, they got all these different sites trying to get jobs. So you need to make sure that you separate yourself from the herd and become a good applicant. My third piece of advice, make sure your resume is on point. I have seen some of y'all resumes. Now, this really goes out to the subreddit people, the CS subreddit people. I've seen some of y'all resumes. What was you doing? What was you think? Fix up your resume. Your resume is pretty much your advertisement as a working person. It shows pretty much what you've been through and what you may be able to do at the job. So if you're applying for a game dev job, make sure you have those keywords listed in their job description in your resume. So they say, hey, you need to know Unity. Put Unity in there. If you're a front-end developer, they say, hey, HTML. Why would you submit a resume without having HTML in there somewhere? Like, come on, you have to really think, because you got to be smart about this. A lot of these times when you're submitting these resumes, they're not going to a human, they're going straight to a parsing software. And so this parsing software is looking for keywords. And it's like, okay, this person has HTML, this person has React, this person has Python, this person has machine learning. And it's going based off that. It's not going off somebody sitting there reading your resume. Those days are pretty much gone at these big companies. And so you have to adapt. So make sure your resume looks presentable. Make sure you have all your sections outlined. And if you guys want a video on how to do a resume, my wife does really good resumes, and I even can show my own resume to kind of show you what I'm working with, and then we can just go through it, talk about the high points, talk about what you don't do in a resume and what you should do. My last piece of advice for this video is to make sure you optimize your code interview practices. A lot of people are learning multiple languages, trying to do code interviews. Stick to one language. Stick to one language, you'll thank me later. A lot of times when you learn these multiple languages to do code interviews, there's a lot of syntax learning at one time and it's very stressful. Trust me. The little green book, the How to Practice a Code Interview book, I had that book. did LeetCode, I did HackerRank, I did all that to try to do a Google interview. And I was doing Python and Java trying to pretty much make sure that I knew enough to do a code interview. Got to the interview and I kept switching up syntax and stuff like that. Because I mean, you're still novice coders, you're still learning. And so you need to be on point when you go into that interview. And also you want to make sure that you're actually learning when you're doing LeetCode and HackerRank. Talk out your problems, talk out how you're doing your solutions. Even get somebody else who may be in CS to just, sit there with you while you work your problem out to make sure you can actually explain your solution and knowing your theories and stuff like that. Now, we're going to talk about more advice in other videos because I don't want this video to be too long. I can go on about this all day, to be quite honest with you. And I don't do that to y'all. So we're going to move on to my people who are trying to transition into tech. Tip number one for my people trying to transition into tech, make sure you find a good boot camp. Now, some of these boot camps are not reputable and companies will kind of side eye you if you come from them. So make sure you do your research on what boot camp you're going into because you need to know if it's actually a good, reputable boot camp. These boot camps are expensive. You don't want to waste money on a boot camp that's going to get you denied a job because they know, oh, the graduates from here kind of suck. So you want to do your research and kind of ask around and make sure that this boot camp will actually help you get to where you need to be. And then two, not, get blacklisted. Because I have heard of that happening to some people and I don't want that to happen to any of you guys. Personally, I did the 4-year route, but not everybody, one, either has the money to do the 4-year route, or two, time, or three, even want to, which is totally fair. Next is also, you need to be doing side projects also. Just kind of come up with random projects to do and just show that you can do something cool with the skills you learned from your bootcamp or from just studying on your own. Yeah, so since you don't have the 4-year degree, you need to be able to show that you have some experience in something tech related, just so you can, get into the door to do the interview. And you also need to optimize your code interview skills as well. That's kind of an all-around thing. Code interviews at certain companies are inescapable and you can't get around it. It'll be hard to find a tech company that will hire you without doing a code interview, depending on level. Now, if a job is asking you to do free work at home, skip that company, it's not worth it. Or if they're asking you to do something just totally ridiculous, you leave them alone also, just waste time. I think the main thing hurting a lot of people with getting into these companies right now, outside of just a terrible economy, is the fact that these companies don't really know how to really interview new talent. They're giving these crazy code interview skill assessments that don't really show that you can do coding day to day. It just shows that you did a lot of HackerRank, a lot of LeetCode, a lot of just studying, but it doesn't show that you actually have the aptitude to, do coding day to day. Personally, I knew somebody who legit did HackerRank, got the code interview done, got to the job, and completely failed at it because they didn't have the thinking processes of a programmer or even the problem solving skills that they needed. One last thing that I forgot to mention earlier for my college students, make sure you are networking. That is one of the main things you need to do as a college student. You're around a bunch of people that you never met before and they all have their own stories and their own people that they're attached to. So interact with each other, make sure you learn, make sure you network with others so you can figure out who knows who in the industry because you're gonna need it. All right, my last point is about AI. So we all know that AI is really crazy right now and is blowing up quite a bit. So is AI gonna take your job in the future? That's the biggest question for everybody right now, even for me. I mean, I just seen an AI build a whole website by itself. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, dang, my days are numbered. My days are numbered. But personally, I don't think AI is gonna take, everybody's job. Some people, you might be out of there. But everybody across the board, no. I think at this point, and probably for years to come, you're gonna need humans, one, making the AIs. There's no AI that can recreate itself. And then two, you're gonna need people who can have the thought process for coding. Coding does take a bit of a human element needed right now to fully get everything in the way that you want it. But I genuinely think that AI is gonna create as many jobs as it may kill off in the future. So personally, I think it's safe, but hey, take it with a grain of salt. I'm just a dude. In conclusion, tech is still worth getting into in 2024, but you need to have a plan. You need to be smart about how you're going about it. Like I said before, the days of just getting into it just with a college degree with nothing else on your resume might be done. It might be done. But Don't lose all hope. That means you got to put in a little work to get the benefits. Also, make sure you're looking around at different companies. There's a lot of companies that have tech-related positions without them being explicitly software developer, software engineer, or lead programmer or anything like that. So make sure you're actually looking at these job descriptions and getting smarter about what you're searching on these job sites. And make sure you're dodging those scams. I've seen a lot of scams going around, so be careful of those too. But with that being said, this is the first video on the channel. We are officially done. If you learned anything from this video, make sure you go to the comments, tell me about it. Make sure you like and subscribe. And make sure you come back and hang out, man. I'm trying to go to channel out, trying to do this. And I also have a VR gaming channel, Marty Do VR. Try to put the logo up here. Maybe a picture of it right about there. Go check that out if you like gaming content. I do both, but I'm really trying to get into the tech side of YouTube because I feel like I have a lot to offer in terms of just advice to the community. So make sure you come back and hang out with me. Make sure you follow TikTok, follow me on Twitter, Marty VR. Make sure you follow I think that's about it actually. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we're ending the video now. Goodbye.